All right, guys, so this right here is a big story. This is a very, very big story. Koch network plans to back a Republican other than Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential primary. Wow. So here's why this matters. This guy has more money than God. Charles Koch has more money than God. And whoever he decides to support gets a massive boost. Because then now this person can afford ads to run absolutely everywhere. They can set up a real professional ground operation. And so he can make or break somebody and increase 5 points to their numbers just by backing them. So for him to say it ain't Trump, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so they say here in CNN, the deep-pocketed network associated with billionaire Charles Koch is preparing to throw its money and weight behind a single Republican candidate in the 2024 presidential primary in a move that could significantly reshape the GOP field. Americans for Prosperity Action, the main political arm of the Koch network, is prepared to support a candidate in the Republican presidential primary who can lead our country forward and who can win. Emily Seidel, the CEO of Americans for Prosperity and top advisor at AFP Action, wrote in a memo released Sunday. The memo does not mention Donald Trump, but an official with AFP Action confirmed to CNN that the network is not planning to support the former president's White House bid. Quote, to write a new chapter for our country, we need to turn the page on the past, Seidel wrote to AFP's staff and activists. So the best thing for the country would be to have a president in 2025 who represents a new chapter. The Koch decision to engage in the GOP primary after sitting on the sidelines for the two most recent White House nomination fights is likely to set off a scramble among Republican presidential contenders to win over the Kansas-based industrialist and the hundreds of wealthy donors who help finance his influential free market network. So, okay. Now, here's the thing about this. And this is where it gets tricky, guys. This is where it gets really tricky. This guy, this billionaire, has ties to a bunch of different Republicans. In fact, very close with Mike Pence in some ways. It is the Republican establishment in a sense. And so he has snuggled up to the likes of people of Nikki Haley. So he could be dumb enough to light all of his money on fire and pick somebody with a 0% chance. He really could be. He could be dumb enough to pick Nikki Haley and try to prop her up to find that maybe she'd get 4 points in the polls, and that's literally all because they bought her to 4 points. Their only hope is to back DeSantis. Their only hope. Anybody else, they're lighting their money on fire. John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Nikki Haley, honestly, even Mike Pence, right? Like, even Mike Pence. In an election without Trump or DeSantis, yes, then Mike Pence is a real contender. If Ted Cruz runs, even backing him in a race with Trump and DeSantis, I think it's unlikely that Cruz would make it. And so either they back DeSantis or they guarantee that whoever they're backing is not going to win. Because the money can only get you so far in a presidential race. Like, at the Senate level, it's different. The money determines almost the whole thing. At the House level, different. Money almost determines the whole thing. At the presidential level, there's a lot of free media. The media is going to cover everything all the candidates are doing regardless because it's the biggest election in the country. So the money's not as important. It is still important, but not as important as it is for those lower levels. And so if you give it to Nikki Haley, you're lighting your money on fire. They might be dumb enough to give it to somebody who has no chance and they think they can make them have a chance. And we've seen this previously. In 2012, a lot of big money Republican donors were backing different Republicans. Some were backing Newt Gingrich. Some were backing, Mike Huckabee. Some were backing Mitt Romney. And they can't afford to be sloppy with it this time around. If they're going to try to take down Trump, they got to go all in funding DeSantis. He's the only one that has a real prayer at the moment. And they need the other Republicans, like the Koch brothers should call in all these other Republicans because these Republicans work for them. And Charles Koch should sit him down and say, you're going to be Secretary of State. You're not going to be president. You're going to be vice president. You're not going to be president. You understand what I'm saying? So, but again, I don't know if they have that level of organization. And I don't even know if he's smart enough to know that it has to be DeSantis if you want to take down Trump. So it's a big deal that this guy is getting involved, and he's getting involved not for Trump, but it would all come to naught if they don't back DeSantis because that money's just going to be, they're going to light it on fire. So anyway, that's my breakdown of the situation. By the way, this is how politics really works in America. This is the money primary. We have in Iran, the Ayatollahs pick, hey, who are the acceptable candidates that the people can choose from? In the US, we have oligarchs who do that. He's one of the oligarchs. Who are the acceptable people? I'll let you know. And so here we are. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.